scholars here from India.
Vagatha Vivasamputtau Vagatha Pattaye Jagatapitara Vande Parvati Parameshwara Sruti Smriti Prananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatar Sharada Sharadam Bhojaravana Varam Vijay Sarvada Sarvada Smatram Sanidhim Sanidhim. In 1834, a British gentleman came to Bharat. After studying the Indian educational system at the time, which was the Gurukula system.
You can have a mic.
Oh, okay. No, this is Ben. In 1834, a British gentleman came to Bharat. After studying the Gurukula system for about 4 years, in 1838, he summarized his findings as such, and I'm directly quoting. I feel with them that it's impossible for us, with our limited means, to attempt to educate a body of the people. We must at present do our best to form a class who may be interpreters between us and the millions whom we govern, a class of persons Indian in blood and color, but English in tastes and opinions, in morals and intellect. To that class, we may leave it to refine the vernacular dialects of the country, to enrich those dialects with terms of science borrowed from Western nomenclature, and to render them by degrees fit vehicles for conveying knowledge to the great mass of the population. Essentially, the idea behind this was to eradicate indigenous educational systems that had created some of the most successful societies in the world that history had known at the root. A revolution was started later, wherein physical freedom was attained in 1947. And today we are in the presence of, I should say, 3 revolutionaries who are taking the gauntlet to bring back the Sanskritam as the vernacular of Bharat. I have in front of me the Vyoma brothers, and I also have Dr. Archana Purushottamji, who are working relentlessly in Houston and across the world to bring back Sanskritam as the vernacular dialect of Bharatam. I had thought to actually deliver this in Sanskritam, but I then second-guessed myself and then decided I would give it in English with the hope that someday at the Dakshinamna Sringagiri Sharada Shaka Peetham here, that I could deliver this Parichaya Vakyam in Sanskritam with an audience that would be able to completely converse in Sanskritam. So I leave that Sankalpa before Ramba. About the gentlemen, I should say revolutionaries whom we have standing here, Vyoma Sanskritam E-Learning Incorporated is an education organization which is a non-profit, non-religious and non-political organization with the objective of teaching Sanskritam to the public at large using e-learning tools in addition to other in-person teaching methods. Through an e-learning approach, Vyoma Sanskritam e-learning achieves to connect teachers, learners, experts to other members who have interest in learning Sanskritam through e-learning technologies and other electronic mediums that enables preservation of this ancient language system. In addition to e-learning and other in-person workshops, tutorials, and a non-profit basis will be conducted solely for the purpose of teaching and education the language of Sanskrit when the need arises. We have standing in front of us 2 revolutionaries. There's no other word to describe them in the English language. 2 revolutionaries who are currently teaching Sanskritam to over 70,000 people with the goal, with the sankalpa of teaching and making Sanskritam consciousness reach 1 million people. So without much further ado, I give it to the brothers. Sri Guru
गुरुरेव गतिर्गुरुमेव भजे
सहास्मि नमो गुरवे न गुरोः परमं शिशुरस्मि गुरोः मतिरस्ति गुरौ मम पाहि गुरो मूकं करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे परमानन्दमाधवम् हयग्रीव हयग्रीव हयग्रीवेति यो वदेत् तस्य निस्सरते वाणी जह्नुकन्या प्रवाहवत् माला सुधा कुम्भ विबोध मुद्रा विद्या विराजत् करवारिजाताम् अपार कारुण्य सुधाम्बुराशिं श्री शारदाम्बां प्रणतोऽस्मि नित्यम् शारदा शारदाम्भोजवदना वदनाम्बुजे सर्वदा सर्वदास्माकं सन्निधिं सन्निधिं क्रियात् असाध्य साधक स्वामिन् असाध्यं तव किं वद रामदूत दया सिन्धो मत्कार्यं साधय प्रभो बुद्धिर्बलं यशो धैर्यं निर्भयत्वमरोगता अजाड्यं वाक्पटुत्वं च हनुमत्स्मरणात् भवेत्। सर्वेभ्यः नमस्काराः। प्रथमतया क्षमां याचामहे, विलम्बेन आगतवन्तः वयं सर्वे। We are very sorry for the delayed start, for coming late. And next, I think we thank you for the great presence. We thank the organization and all those people who are instrumental in making this happen. Thank you so much. Namaskaraha. So, there are 4 important questions which we always come across when we have a conversation around Sanskritam. And these questions are across the ages, across different persona actually. The first one being, why Sanskritam? Quite a challenging, interesting question, because when it comes to mathematics or science, the materialistic Laukika Vidya, where we should actually ask why mathematics or why those Vidya, in a materialistic way, people don't ask those questions. But when it comes to the real, when Upanishad says, Dve Vidye Veditavye Para Aparacha. So for the Apara questions for the Para questions are being asked and not for the Apara sometimes. That is what people also say in a similar analogy. But still, when this question came, and when we also did a self-introspection, we got a lot of good perspectives, and it helped us talk to the different generation, the parents, the children also. So while answering this question for a long time, we found out that there are around 118 to 120 reasons on why somebody should study Sanskrit. Through a conversation with the parents, with teachers, and friends, of course. And those we actually bucketized it into around 8 buckets. And we also have them in a single slide, but we have a series called as Power of Sanskrit, wherein each of these are actually, we take each power, we spend some time on it through an activity. There is an activity which happens in the congregation. And then in that activity, what is the fact or the experience each of them had from the activity is gathered from the audience. And then we have the fact, and what is the impact it actually generated on them. And this we corroborate with research papers and also with anecdotes of people who are around us, contemporary people, not from very, very ancient examples. So it's a 5-pronged approach for the power of Sanskrit. We recently had the session day before yesterday in the Chinmaya Austin, where we had some interesting discussion with a lot of learned people like you. So quickly getting into this slide, the first one is what are the physical impact Sanskritam can have on somebody. Just even if we take a simple example of listening or even chanting of Sanskrit shlokas, what all can happen to the physical even without knowing the meaning. So when we chant a shloka, for example, Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, because of the Chandas 8888 or Shantakaram Bhujagashyanam Padmanabham Suvesham,
So there is a automatic pranayama which is happening, which is the effect of that similarly happens. When you chant shlokas like Sureshwaram, Nidishwaram, Gajeshwaram, you have a Brahmari effect, an Adishodha effect. All of these were very clearly we had through a discussion. So some of these, and also through research, Apalah Kami Kantah Kritagamaha. So when you do a Kamadeva, Kamapalah Kami Kantah Kritagamaha, all your Jihva Mulyas, Upadhmaniyas, you have a Kapala Bhati kind of a Kriya effect which happens. So similarly, when you go to the other aspects, that is, research today says that even there are positive hormones being generated, whatever we call as GABA, serotonin, all these kind of positive hormones are generated when people chant these kind of slokas, basically because they are positive affirmations. The Bhadran Karne Mihi or a Shanno Mitra, all of these are the positive affirmations which actually take us through. That is one aspect, a very long aspect, but I will cut short to that. To the second aspect, the impact on the brain directly on the Buddhi Shakti and how it can actually help. So let me take a Drishtanta again. If we take again, the whole objective is not to trivialize any other language or talk about any language on a lesser impact. All languages are amazing. We are actually conversing in English today for everybody's understanding. Param tatra samskritasya mahima yadi asmabhihi vaktavya chet, tatra vartamana differentiating aspects is what we are talking about. That is the only thing. That is a small disclaimer there. So the impact on brain depend based on the number of letters. A 26 letters versus a direct 64 letters, or the base letters, and your Gunitaksharas, Samyuktaksharas, the more number of defined structured letters and alphabets which are there, along with the phonetics, the more parts of brain are getting activated. That is the advantage of a Sanskrit letter, which directly happens on the brain, which improves the memory power of somebody reading Sanskritam. Similarly, when we go to the focus and concentration, English has around the maximum number of letters in an English word, or an average length of letters in an English word is around 5 to 7. With the 20, 30 years of English, the largest word we can tell is encyclopedia or something like that. But if I ask any of you for long words in Sanskritam, you can tell thousands just like that. Devarshigana Sanghata Stuyamanatma Vaibhava Samsara Panka Nirmagna Samudharana Pandita. All of you are doing it every day. Each of these has 40, 70, 40, 50 letters in it, taking all the aksharas in that actually. So automatically what happens, these Samasta Padas, the Sandhi and Samasta Padas, they help in managing the synapse in the brain. We have a neurological doctor here, she can confirm it later. So there, your synapse don't get pruned. You start with 100 trillion synapse when you're a 3-year-old kid and you end up in 10 million. But if you continue Sanskritam in your life, it won't get pruned, and your memory, focus, concentration can only, all of these, while all other organizations, all other organs grow or become better with age, why only your memory or brain should decrease with age? It will also increase subject to the Samskrita Abhyasa or similar Abhyasa which is there. So through the effect of letters, words, and of course the poems, because of the Chanda Shastra and the advantage you have in the prosody, there are a lot of impacts. Each of these has very, very detailed. Like every point here may take a 1 or 2 day workshop actually. I'm just giving a brief on this. When you go to the spiritual impact or the mental impact, again, when you understand the meaning in the Samskrita Sahitya, we just had a conversation with Sriram Garu when we were Sitaram Garu, how he has interpreted the Aruna Prashna and managed it, brought it towards quantum physics. So when you really understand the meanings of what each of them mean at different layer, from an ordinary translation, then to a more philosophical layer, then to a scientific layer. So as you go and it has a great impact on the mental and spiritual effect. Similarly, the entire area of Indic knowledge systems, Samskrita, Ganita, maths in Sanskrit, science in Sanskrit, management in Sanskrit, finance in Sanskrit, economics in Sanskrit. So all of these areas, if we have to unearth and bring the differences, it's very important that Sanskritam is held as a base. Yesterday we were just discussing a point like what are the differences? Why today all these knowledges are giving what we want, but why should we go to Sanskrit and learn something like an accounting and finance? What is the difference? Or even like governance? That was the question somebody asked, and that is where we were talking about. In the Ramayana, in the Artha Shastra, if you have to appoint a minister, the appointment of ministers or counselors, consultants, if you have to appoint them, you have 4 types of tests called the Upadha test. And somebody who passes all 4 only gets appointed as a prime minister. It's not pure democracy. Democracy was always there. But each of these kind of concepts are also there, which we don't have today. And which we may discuss and see if it is relevant, we may actually bring it back. Like this, there are a lot of differential points which are not present in the current scenario, but which are very relevant, which we can unearth and bring it back. Those kind of concepts are there. The next is on the music, dance. So we had one interesting discussion on how to identify a raga, its Melakarta position, its Arohanam, Avarohanam through the Katapaya Sankhya, which I think in these days it is being taught when somebody learns it, Sampradaya Baddha, it is taught. So, you don't need to memorize your Arohanam, Avarohanam for 72 ragas and then go to an exam and write it. If you know your Katapaya, you can just decode it on the spot in the exam hall and just write it and come. So that is just one example. Similarly, in the Nritya Shastra, Natya Shastra, all the Chatushashti Kalas, you have beautiful examples where Sanskrit will help better your yoga sadhana, your music, all of these kalas. When it goes to the emotional, cultural impact, the other point he was also telling is Sanskrit has lot of words which cannot be fully translated to get the bhava. For example, we come to Amba. We just finished Amba and we are just coming. So Mata was asking, so did you have the dash of Amba, Sharada Amba? Did you have the? All of us are English. Why you are using Darshanam? What is an equivalent English word for it? Look, observe, see. Nothing can come and sit there in Darshanam. There is no English word for that. Such a simple word, Darshanam. Did you have Darshanam of Tirupati Balaji? Did you have Darshanam of Amba? You cannot translate. Like this, you have thousands of words which cannot be translated, even to a portion of it. Dharma, for example. What will you translate Dharma as? As truth, honesty, righteousness. Wherever you go, it is only a portion of it. The entirety won't come. So, therefore, Sanskritam, when you read Sanskritam in the Sanskritam manner, there is a lot of impact wherein in understanding the subject or the intention clearly. That is the power we talk about.
That word, which was dharma or darshan, it doesn't have the bhasha, it has the Sanskriti and samskara attached to it. So that is why you can't translate. It is not only a linguistic translation.
Drishyate anena iti
Darshan. Drishyate anena. Satyam. Similarly, when we get into a social impact, today we talk about social consciousness, value education, the number of subhashitas which are there, paropakarartham idam shariram, vasudev ayam nijah paroveti ganana lagu chetasam. All of these, as you keep reading these, your values, your social consciousness, all of these are automatically restored. And finally, having a knowledge for making a living versus a knowledge for meeting the purpose of life. If that is the question, probably Sanskritam gets selected for the knowledge which can help us meet the purpose of life. So like this, we just made a few things, a few concepts here, and tried to answer the first question as why Sanskritam. When we go to the next question, people ask, you keep telling Sanskritam, but what is Sanskritam? I also read in my school days, Ramaha Ramo Ramaha. That is Sanskritam. No, what is so great about it? My teacher used to hit me on the hand and made me by-hearted. That is Sanskritam you are talking about. No, that is what they say. But probably there is more to that Sanskritam, which is where we come to the entire Vangmaya Vistaraha of Sanskritam. Just to know this chart itself gives a sense of pride and astonishment, joy to know this. Just if you see from a Shastram and a Kavyam, if we just split it into two parts, the Shastra Vidya, Kavya Vidya. Here, the Vedas. So each of these Rig Veda with its 4 parts, Yajus, Sama, Atharva, the Upavedas, Ayurveda, Dhanurveda, Gandharva, Arthashastra, respectively. Then the Vedangas, the Shiksha, which is the phonetics, Vyakaranam, which is the grammar, Chandas, which is the prosody, Niruktam, which is the etymology, Jyotisham, which is the Vedic astrology, astronomy, and Kalpaha, which is the procedural aspects. So these 6 are such amazing sciences which are there. And then we have the Sankhya Shastra, the Shad Darshanani, Sankhya Yoga, the twins which are there, Nyaya Vaisheshika, and our Purva Mimamsa, Uttara Mimamsa. Each of them each one will take a lifetime to understand and study fully in depth. But when you have these and you have an Acharya like our Acharya who knows entirely of this and can challenge this also, then you know that your Acharya is a Pratyaksha Sharadamba and not just a human being who is sitting there. So that gives you that. So this chart will help you understand the Guru Mahima also actually. Okay. Then the other Shastras, Bhakti Shastra, Dharma Shastra, Itihasa Puranani, a single Ramayana 24,000, Mahabharata 1 lakh shlokas, the Puranas, Bhagavata 18,000. You have 18 such Puranas, 18 Upapuranas. So imagine even doing a Parayanam of all these, you will take just reading it once fully may take more than a lifetime. That is the kind of knowledge repository which is available, what our Vemurigaru told in the introduction. That is the power of the Indic knowledge system. And these are only the traditional Shastra based. If you come to Kavyas, it is infinite. Who can ever make a list of the Kavyas which are there from a Sanskrita perspective? And then when you come to the regional Kavyas, Telugu Kavyas, Tamil Kavyas, Tirukural, all the then the Kannada Kavyas, Sahityas, Pampa, Ranna, Hunna, all of these, when you bring into the entire Indian knowledge systems, all of this will help you understand what is Sanskrita. And so that also this is such a rich culture, and probably being so rich, there is some value in it, and that is where we tell our children that it's worth at least having a look at it. Just have a look at it, and if it entices you, if it involves you, you can continue it. Until now, thankfully, all of them have continued after having looked at this Samskrita. Similarly, when you go to where Samskritam, this is another question. Okay, good, we understood why Samskritam is required. We understood to some extent what is Samskritam, what are the various components in Samskritam, but where do we actually go and look for? So in Vyoma, we have tried doing a list of all the links of available resources on Sanskritam, the Sanskrit documents which are there, the Itihasa Puranas which people have digitized it, they have translated it. There are tools for Sandhi, Samasa, all of these are which are available. We have just started on this. It is a very large resource which is there on the net, and all of this we have started putting it in the site vyoma.org in the under Where Sanskrit. So this may be a useful resource when you are actually going through and you need to find something. Suddenly you need to find what is that Mandukya Karika which somebody told. You go to Advaita Sharada and immediately you will get it. Our website which is done by the Matha actually, which is maintained by them. So like this, you have a lot of resources where you may not be like, if you have to have a library, it is a very large library and searching it is difficult. But when you go to these kind of resources, you are able to find it. The next, we will share these links if you want. The next one is the main golden question why we are all here today, which is how do we actually now learn this? Your first 3 slides are okay, Mahodaya. Okay, now that you are here and we are also here, let's come to the point and discuss on how do we actually approach. And we are a little bit aged people, we are working people, we have very limited time. We are children, we have not even that limited time we don't have because we are on so many activities. And so how do we actually go about this? Different person are there. And that is where we need some foundational principles to understand before Anna actually takes over the details of how we should study Sanskrita. Out of these foundational principles, the first one, this is a very, very important slide on what actually is all about approaching the language of Sanskrita. And this incidentally is called the Vyoma Sanskrit Learning Model. And this is a accumulation of all what elders taught us. None of these are made by us. We don't claim anything in this. It's only what elders have given. We have just put it here together. So the steps which are there involves Bhasha Dhyanam. That is understanding the skills of the language. For example, when you go to English, they say you should know LSRW. Listen, speak, read, write. These are the 4 skills in an English language. And if you can do these 4 skills well, better, then you know some part of the language. But in Sanskritam, we have 7 skills which are there. That is listen. The next one is chant. Because chanting Sanskritam or reading it or pronouncing it in the right way is one of the very important aspects, because it will otherwise change the entire word. We had some conversation yesterday. Kadali phalam versus a kadali palam versus a kadali balam. Right? All 3 are in usage today. Phalam is a fruit. So kadali phalam, aratipandu or your banana, whichever is there. But when you go to kadali palam, kadali is a type of deer. And palam is a meat. Now you want to join it, you can do it. Right? Kadali balam, probably on days like today, Ekadashi, kadali which gives you balam. Maybe that's what they meant, but that's not the right usage anyways. Right? So like this, you have a chanting aspect. So listen, chant or pronounce, which is the second. Then you have a speak, read, write. You also have a comprehend and compose. So L, C, R, S, W, C, C. These are the 7 skills which are there for Sanskritam and where we can take it forward. And all of these are part of this step called as Bhasha Dhyanam. That is the basic language learning. And this can be done in various ways. You can have an education, formal education, informal, all of which he will be taking through. So that is the first step. Getting to know the language, what it involves, the basic vibhaktis, the basic kriya padas, how a sentence is formed, what happens when you convert a poem to a prose, the prose order or the anvaya krama. All of these kind of knowledge comes in the bhasha dhyana. The second is the grantha dhyana. Once we are a little bit familiar with the bhasha, we can actually take one text. It can be as much like a Niti Shatakam, 100 shlokas by Bhartrihari. Or it can be a Sankshepa Ramayanam, 100 shlokas again. Why all 100 only is because there is a old adage called Shatashlokena Panditaha. So when somebody goes into a deep dive into those 100 shlokas in all possible perspectives, for example, if you take one shloka, you do a padacheda, word by word splitting of it. Then you do a word by word basic meaning. Then you do a pada parichaya. Then you do an anvaya. You take the kriya pada and do something called as akanksha. So kaha paripapracha, kam prati paripapracha. When you do that, then you start getting answers to it. Then you get the anvaya to it. That is the akanksha kramena anvaya. Then you take each word, identify whether it's a nama padam, kriya padam, avyayam. Once it's a nama padam, you identify the vibhakti, pratyaya, vibhakti, linga vibhakti vachana. Kriya padam, you identify the kriya pada, dhatus, and the lakara purusha vachana. Avyayam, what is the type of it? Then you come to the sandhis in the shloka, you come to the samasas in the shloka, you come to the other grammatical peculiarities in the shloka. When namaha is there, this is a namaswasti swaha example. So like that you get to know. Then you come to the alankara which is there. Then you come to the chandas, the figure of speech which is there. You come to the chandas or the prosody letters. Like this, when you analyze a shloka, through the shata shlokena panditaha, you get a confidence on the text, grantha dhyana. People also take Bhagavad Gita, people also take the full Ramayana and go through. But the second one involves taking this knowledge of basic language into a context of a text which a Kavi has actually composed and understanding it contextually, understanding situationally, and getting the various meanings of it. So your bhasha becomes more stronger.
Even musical text like
Ashtapadi, yes. Krishna Lila Tarangini, Jayadeva's Ashtapadi, Natya Shastra. Many of these can be taken. Absolutely. Raghuvamsha, probably one of the best. And many of our elders have started from there only. They always start from Raghu Naman Vayam Vakshye. They start from there only and they enjoy the Sanskrit Bhasha actually. Right? So that is the Grantha. So you get a better hold now. After this, while we are studying this Sandhi and Samasa, suddenly we are interested. How did this actually happen? How did this Ramaha come from Rama? But the same Rama becomes Ramo here or Ramaha. There must be a programming in between. There is something which is happening, but at some point something is changing. How does that pratyaya, all these happen? That is when you will be interested to the Vyakarana Shastra. Then when you want to understand some logics behind it, you will go to the Tarka Shastra. So like this, we will then enter into the world of Shastra Adhyana. Parallelly, what happens? So that is so as you can see, it is a pyramid. We all know how from a base here, the pyramid has lesser numbers, lesser people who go towards it also, right? And parallelly, you also have a standing stambha, which is on the Vinyoga part, wherein I am doing puja every day. I want to understand what each of these means. What is Avahanam? What is Prana Pratishtha? I want to understand. Second, I'm reading all these Stotra Mala. What is the meaning of these shlokas? I'm not fully sure of. That is one aspect. The other aspect, when children ask, why do we need to wear a dhoti? Why do we need to have a traditional? Why to put a tilaka? Why to light a lamp? Why to do namaskaram to our elders? Why to chant shlokas and take bath? Why to tell Karagre Vasate Lakshmi? Why we do what we do? WWD, WWD. That's another set of series of questions which comes in the applied Sanskrit studies, right, for the children. Then when you come to working professionals, they are like, somewhere when I read the Bhagavad Gita, I'm able to apply it in my workplace. Right? Especially when somebody else gets a promotion or a good rating, Tulya Ninda, Stutir Mauni, Sukha Dukhe Same Kritva, everything comes into play actually. Right? So that is where all your Sanskritam helps you in your workplace. Management in Bhagavad Gita, management in Sundarakanda, management in Ramayana. Like these, there are applied Sanskrit. You are applying the Sanskrit knowledge which is there into either your home or your workplace. So this is the Vinyogam part. Now the whole interesting part in this is what we described now is a very linear or a established mode actually. You start from Bhasha Adhyanam typically, you go to Grantha, you go to Shastra, but the other part in this is this Shastra. After reading the Shastra, you come back to the same Ramayana, the same book which is there, same page, same font, same size, same color, all are same. But that will start giving you new meanings. That is the beauty of coming to Grantha Adhyanam again after a Shastra Adhyanam. And then when you do the next step, from Grantha, after doing that round, you go back to your Shastras. Your Shastras will be more revealing. It will start revealing itself and you will understand the concepts there more beautifully. So this cycle continues for some time. And that is where it becomes stronger. So this is one way of it. And some people, what they do, they are purely interested in the applied part. So they come to Bhasha Adhyanam. I'm not going to deeper Grantha Adhyanam, taking a Bhagavad Gita or something. Just tell me the concepts which are applicable. I will understand the meaning. So today we do Kaizen or even 5S, total quality. All of those we do. We don't understand the original what that Grantha told. We just understand that concept and implement it in our workplace. Right? So similarly, there are some people who do that. Some of us, what we do, we go to the Grantha and then how much it can apply and we understand it a little bit more deeply so that we can answer the questions which our children are asking. So that is where from Grantha then we can go to applied. Sometimes you can even go up to Shastra and come to applied Sanskrit knowledge, which will be more richer actually.
There is also a case where they directly listen to a Ramayana Pravachana or Bhagavatam.
So the next case is this, wherein what happens, you start from Grantha Adhyanam. So you take a Ramayana, start reading it, you go to a Pravachanam and you actually listen to that Pravachanam and you have started from a grantha, and you have been listening to the Sanskrit words, Sanskrit usage, you have been reading the Sanskrit usage for some time, and you start getting the interest into the Sanskrit, and then from there you come and sharpen your Bhashadhyanam into it, and then from there you can either go to, you finish Bhashadhyanam, then you can go back to Shastra or Vinyoga or continue only between these two. Between Bhasha and Grantha, we are happy. So, for example, when Anna was talking to the previous Acharya in one of our, when we went for a program, and for the Sanskritam, how much of Sanskritam we need to know. The answer given by Guru Jagat Guru was, as much as Ramayanam you can study and have tears in your eyes, that is enough of Sanskritam. That is the, so that is where you will be in this section. This will take care. So, and he actually in one of the Vakyartha he gave Ramayanam to all the scholars who were there and told us the importance of Grantha. Right? Similarly, you can go to and fro in this, and this kind of helps us understand the entire gamut of how should we approach Sanskritam. Why this actually becomes important is sometimes what happens, while because of very positive or very utsaha energy, we may actually go to a attend a small discourse or a camp or a Sambhashanam Shibira, we may attend that. And then once we come back, we actually are very, very excited. I have learned Sanskritam, I can talk Sanskritam. And because of the excitement, we may open a Shankara Bhashya, right? And suddenly, what is this? What they taught in the camp and this Bhashyam is not matching at all. What happened? Something is wrong somewhere. And over a period of time, we may get disinterested. That should not happen. So at least if we know the components which are there, right, then we will be there. Okay, there is a step to it. We need to go to the next step, then next step. Then we need to go to these kind of granthas, and we understand the overall framework. It will be helpful for us, which is where this kind of a model has been put together by elders. Quickly, last slide from my side. And all of this, now all of this is very good. Like I said, depending on the time, depending on my commitment, I cannot now go to a university in India and join and take up a course or an acharya, right? But how can I then do it? Or let us say we have children whom we can actually take them to India or a place or any university where they are doing it, and we can actually admit them there. It can be any of these scenarios. Both scenarios are possible. So based on the scenario, we have two learning paths at a very major level, which we should know. One is called Aupacharika Shikshanam, Anaupacharika Shikshanam. Aupacharika Shikshanam is the formal learning mechanism or the stream, wherein you take Sanskritam as a full-time stream and you study that along with the other knowledge, Laukika, science, Sanskrit, science, English, maths, to do the vinyogam of it, dissemination of that knowledge. Anupacharika are all the informal mechanism which is available thanks to the great visionary leaders who created sabhas, Sura Saraswati Sabha, which is there by our Shri Shri Abhinav Vidyatirtha Mahaswamiji. Then we have Bharati Vidya Bhavan. We have many sabhas. Anna will list them out. So those kind of informal mechanisms are there in the Anupacharika Marga. So depending on what is our age, what is our commitment, what is our objective, we can then choose a path. First we have to choose the main path, either it is formal or informal. That is the knowing the model and knowing the second, that for this model, I will take a formal approach, get myself enrolled to a full-time university, or I will take the informal approach wherein I can go through the other mechanisms. So for example, on the Bhashadhyanam. So handing it over to Anna from here, because not exaggerating just because he is my brother, but I have seen at least in our classes and this thing, the real number will be more than 1,000 people whom he has mentored and created learning paths for them. There are students who have actually framed that sheet which he roughly wrote and who have followed it and have become today great teachers. Today, many teachers we see within Vyoma, within many other organizations, or even outside, who have been mentored by him. So probably I'll give it to the right person who can take it from here. Ram Ram.
One example that is both my kids.
सर्वेभ्यः नमस्कारः। जगद्गुरुं नत्वा किञ्चित् वक्तुं प्रयत्नं करोमि। अनौपचारिक संस्कृत